right, so we're diving into The Beekeeper, right? This 2024 action flick starring Jason Statham. And yeah, I know, Jason Statham, bees. Doesn't exactly scream high octane, does it?
It's an interesting combo, that's for sure. Like, you picture bees, you think honey, maybe a little pollen,
Right.
not exactly car chases and explosions.
Exactly. But that's kind of the point. It's Statham like you haven't really seen him before, but then again, totally what you'd expect.
Yeah.
So we meet Adam Clay. Dude's living the quiet life, tending to his bees, but...
There's got to be a but.
Oh, there absolutely is a but. See, this guy, he's got a past. Turns out he's ex-operative for this, like, super secret organization. They're called the Beekeepers.
Okay, so now we're talking. Secret agent beekeepers. That's a twist I didn't see coming.
Right. And that whole idea of, like, an ordinary profession hiding some crazy double life is classic spy thriller stuff.
Totally. It's like that whole Taken vibe, you know? Liam
Yeah.
Neeson, just a regular dad, until bam, he's taking down bad guys. It works, man. Audiences eat it up.
This movie plays with that contrast really well. You've got Adam seemingly all peaceful with his bees, but there's this tension. You can tell. It's only a matter of time before something sets him off.
A ticking time bomb, but with honey.
Exactly. And then tragedy hits. His landlady, Eloise, she gets caught up in this nasty phishing scam.
Ah, man, phishing scams. I feel like everyone's got a horror story about those.
This one's rough, though. It's not just a few bucks, it's her entire life savings.
Yeah.
Money from a charity she ran, gone. Just like that.
That's brutal, and it speaks to how devastating these cybercrimes can be. It's not just about the money, it's the violation, the feeling of being completely powerless.
And it hits Eloise hard. I mean, really hard. She ends up taking her own life. Adam finds her, the police get called, and that's when we meet Verona Parker, Eloise's daughter.
Okay, so now it's personal. Not just some abstract crime, but a direct link to the victim.
100%. And speaking of personal, while the FBI clears Adam of anything to do with Eloise's death, he's not letting it go. He's got this grief, this anger, and is pushing him to use his beekeeper connections to hunt down the people responsible for the scam.
So, classic revenge thriller setup, but with a beekeeping spin. Makes you wonder, are we the audience supposed to be totally on board with this whole revenge thing? Is it that simple?
That's the thing, right? The movie does a really good job of making you feel for Adam. You get his pain, but there's this edge to it, like, this whole quest for vengeance. It could go very wrong. And that's where things get interesting. Like I said, Statham, like you haven't seen him before. It's about to get complicated.
So he's going back in, huh? Back to the beehive, but like the deadly kind this time.
Oh, yeah. He's way past honey and hexagons now. This is the beekeepers we're talking about, and they are not messing around. Think less beekeeping society bake sale, more like super secret hit squad you'd never heard of.
Okay, so I gotta ask, how does that even work? Like, these guys are operating outside the whole law enforcement thing, right? Who keeps them in check?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the movie really digs into that. Are they a necessary evil protecting us from the stuff we don't even know about? Or is it just way too much power, no accountability? It's like every conspiracy theory about the government, but with more stings.
Heavy stuff. But I gotta figure, Adam, right now, he's not losing sleep over the ethics of it all, is he?
Nope, he's on a mission. Following the money trail from that scam, one deadbeat at a time.
So it's a personal mission, but it's gonna uncover something bigger, right? Classic thriller trope. Gotta love it.
Oh, it gets big. And this being a Statham joint, things get a little, shall we say, kinetic?
Hold on, we're going full Statham here. Bring on the explosions.
Oh, you better believe it. Adam ends up at this place, the 9-Star United Center. It's this massive skyscraper in Boston, all sleek and modern. Turns out, it's not just a pretty facade, though. This place is the heart of this whole global scam operation.
So we're not just talking local fishing anymore. This thing goes deep.
Deep and connected. And guess who else is on the case? Trying to bring Adam in before he goes too far.
Verona, right. Eloise's daughter. Talk about conflicting interests.
You got it. She's trying to solve this thing by the book, but she's got her own demons, her own need for justice, It's a race. Plain and simple.
Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. High stakes, moral dilemmas, and Jason Statham probably kicking down a door somewhere. You've got my attention.
So we've got Adam, our beekeeper turned one-man army, tearing through this skyscraper rust.
Yeah.
Bad guys don't even know what hit him. But here's the kicker. While he's playing John Wick in a bee suit, the feds, they're uncovering a whole other level of messed up.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. What did they find? Spill the honey, so to speak.
Remember that money trail? The one from the phishing scam. Turns out it leads to the top, and I don't mean just some corporate bigwig.
You mean, no way.
Oh, but I do. We're talking Oval Office levels of corruption. The guy behind it all, Derek Danforth, son of none other than President Jessica Danforth herself.
Wow, talk about a twist. So this whole thing goes way deeper than anyone thought. It makes you wonder how often stuff like this actually happens in the real world, you know?
Right.
High-powered people pulling strings, covering their tracks.
Right. It's like ripped from the headlines, but cranked up to 11. We're talking international cybercrime rings, secret organizations, presidential scandals. It's a lot.
And poor Verona.
Right.
Talk about a rock in a hard place. She's got to be torn apart.
Totally. Duty to her badge, but then there's her mom, Eloise. This whole thing started with her.
Yeah.
And you've got the president realizing her own flesh and blood is behind all this. Talk about pressure. The whole movie becomes this, like, pressure cooker of bad choices.
So it's about more than just revenge then.
Way more. It makes you think, right? What is justice? Can you really separate it from revenge? It's not black and white, that's for sure. But hey, no spoilers. You got to watch and see how it all shakes out.
I think you've convinced me. It's more than just your typical action flick.
Oh, absolutely. And the critics seem to agree. It's sitting pretty on Rotten Tomatoes, something like 71%. People dig the action, sure, but they're also talking about the story, the themes.
What about the audience, though?
Yeah.
Did it bring in the crowds?
Oh, yeah. The Beekeeper made bank. Over 150 million worldwide. Proves people still love a good action movie, especially when it's got some brains behind the explosions.
Brains, explosions, and apparently a whole lot of bees. So we've got secret organizations, government conspiracies, and one beekeeper on a mission for justice. What's not to love?
Right. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it, this beekeeper group who watches them? Are they the good guys or just another threat? It's the question that sticks with you, just like a sting, you know?